Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Now, we're currently joined by absolutely nobody because I'm going to do a few things that I'm going to shout out and hopefully clear up with the audience and get a bit more familiar with. We've also got Discord, so I could indeed raise the mic on them, see if there's anybody in there while I'm discussing this. So I'll do that quickly now. Righteous Force, if you're listening, you can talk. Anyway.
Hello.
Hello, Righteous Force. How are you doing?
Alright, yourself?
Good to have you. We haven't actually gone live yet. This is just my moment to plug a few things. So anyway, I was chatting with my webmaster and he explained about this library thing. He wasn't too sold on the whole blockchain idea. I'm exactly the same, but nevertheless, lots of people have recommended it. I'm going to hold fire, but obviously I explained to him I would like to increase my income, as everybody would, and he said, well, you've got a Patreon and you don't seem to do a great deal with it. And I said, yeah, for lack of time, I don't really. I was convinced to set it up by Ranty and have kind of left it idle, and it's actually done quite nicely. But in saying that, I've since gone back and done a few videos on there. I did a few behind the scenes. I might as well actually go into it and see if I can have a look and see if I can show you anything in here. Let's have a look. I don't know my way around Patreon, that's the bottom line here, so I don't know who to shout out. My intention this morning was to get a list of people who I could shout out, and I've got a total fail. So I've found a few posts and things in there, but that was about as much as I did. But nevertheless, so yeah, I'm going to figure my way around Patreon over the next few days and actually shout the people out who support me there, because at the moment, although I do a little bit of communicating back and forth with the people who support me on Patreon, I couldn't list them off by name, and I see lots of other YouTubers actually going to the extent of listing them off at the end of their pre-recorded videos. So I will give a few more shout outs to Patreon and promote it, and maybe even up my target. I think it's a tool that I'm not utilising anywhere near enough, which is something I've been told by Ranty, so big shout out to him, as he was the one that first talked me into utilising it. I mean, it may be a thing that goes away eventually, so I might as well use it while it's there. And yeah, I feel my e-begging is justified, and I think there's people out there that definitely do support me anyway, and Patreon's just another means of doing so. I mean, the other thing my webmaster did was set up a donation form on the actual website itself on nathanoakley.com, so people could just come along and actually contribute on a completely independent way. In other words, not utilising anything, PayPal or Patreon or anything else for that matter. It's just a form. Anyway, that's also another means of supporting me. But it's one of those, people like Owen Benjamin have been reasonably overt about their asking for support, and I don't see any reason why I shouldn't do the same thing. I do feel that what I'm doing is valuable, and if you're not going to blow your own trumpet, who will? So as I say, I'm going to spend a bit more time promoting Patreon and shouting out the people who already support me on there. A massive thank you to all of you who do support me on Patreon. It is very much greatly appreciated. Hello, Sausage. I'm going to go live in about 2 minutes. Come in and join Daddy. No? Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, in the meantime, we've only got about 5 minutes before the live show starts and no one's actually joined, so that's slightly disconcerting.
That's the only reason I piped up. You sounded lonely.
No one else is here. I've normally got a panel full of people by 5 to 2, and there's literally nobody here. It's just you and I. Not that that matters. It's great to have you.
For a sec.
Sure, people will arrive shortly. Typically when I go live, a whole bunch of people pile on anyway, so I wasn't too concerned about starting 5 minutes early without anyone here. Actually published, I asked myself. If you're watching this section, obviously this is pre-recorded. Yes, it has. Great, we will have a live audience. Happy days. Did the other people in the Discord server run away as soon as I started recording?
I just seen Pumpkin in for a bit, but she was muted, and I could see her talking, her icon moving, but she left soon after.
Yeah, I just muted everything while I was sorting out the pre-show, if you will. It's me sorting out the bits to actually get the show running. I just mute everyone now because it just gets so distracting, and I end up getting close to being late almost every time.
You ever thought about going in Gem Panda server and talking to those globe guys?
I've been in Gem Panda's server before.
Pandas.
Gem Samba. Yeah, I've been in there before. I chatted with Lewis Hackett once in there. Rumpusing ensued, and then I very quickly left. Put me off Discord, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I was just there for a bit chatting. Then
What do you make of... I don't know Discord very well, but I know obviously this is Betty's server that she's set up, and so far no one's got any complaints as far as I can tell.
yeah, I like it. This was kind of like my introduction to Discord for this subject.
Oh, okay. Well, Betty's very
I've been
welcoming.
following your show for a while, so I'm familiar.
Been on the show a few times, you say?
Well, I say I've followed the show for a while now,
I see.
but
Hey.
Discord is kind of new to me for this.
Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning.
Good morning. 1 minute and we're going live.
Cool.
You're the first one here, by the way. In the
I was just
hangout.
gonna say, where is everybody?
We've got Righteous Force in Discord. Say hello.
What Righteous Force?
What chocolate?
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Sane and Righteous Force. Very good to have you both.
Good morning.
Aloha. Any signs of Earth curvature, gentlemen?
Not anywhere around me.
None.
Flat as hell over here.
Axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Any signs of that?
Nah, I just think things moving around in the sky, and I'm told that means I'm spinning. Well, I don't buy that.
Hey, Ranty.
Hiya, you alright?
Yeah, I need a bit of help from you. So,
It's okay.
I talked about this in the pre-show a little bit, but what I want to do is shout out my patrons. and I can't even figure that out. So I spent about 15 minutes before the show and a couple of minutes during the pre-show going through going through Patreon to try and figure out how I could actually get the names of the people who are my Patreons, so I could say thank you very much. Each time it comes to the payout comes at the end of the month from Patreon, and each time I get one I think I must shout them out, but it'll seem really mercenary if I do it just after I've had the cash from them. So here we are, mid-month, the perfect time, no ulterior motive other than say a big thank you for supporting me, and I couldn't even get the list of names up. So if after the show you're free, if you could let me know, that'd be really great. Just show me how to use it.
Yeah, you just go to your Patreon homepage and then you click Patrons and then Relationship Manager, and it brings up all the people there. So,
okay, go to Patrons, Relationship Manager.
Yeah, and it should have the member's name.
Okay. It doesn't give it gives it ... That's bloody rubbish, isn't it? So it tells you how much they've donated and it gives you their name, but it's got BG Flat, Alast, Bren, Shearer, Chow. You know, these aren't full names. Dank. Some of them are. Darren, etc, etc, etc. Okay, so that's where I get the list of names from. I've got it up on screen, so obviously thank you very much to all the people who've supported me on Patreon. I will get more concise in this, I promise. Any signs of the distance to the sun? Don't all go at once.
There is no distance to the sun, Nathan. We don't even know if it's a real tangible object.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container?
No.
No?
The gas would fill the space.
Wiggles, 2019. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Any scientific evidence of what?
Gravity?
Gravity, what's that?
Yeah, good question. Show it me first, yeah.
It's gravy without it.
That's right, Owen. On fire, mate.
What's up, Owen?
Hello.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Wow, enthusiastic chat. No. Still not. No. Nicked. Not at all. No. None. Nope. No. Any evidence of the R value?
No.
Oh yeah, there is an R value. Yep.
Any evidence of the presupposition of a spherical radius Earth value?
Right, there's definitely evidence that there is a presupposition of R.
I give in. It's Monday, Owen.
Yeah.
Nope. No. Nada. Yeah.
But
thanks,
there's
chat.
no scientific proof that the Earth actually has an R value.
Thank you, Owen. Didn't even need to lead you. Wonderful. That concludes the housekeeping.
So, I guess you guys have heard about the Globers bragging that soon we'll all be able to go and view Earth from space via a trip to the ISS.
Yeah, Brenda asked me if I wanted to do a GoFundMe about that very topic, and I pointed out that you can't go to a fake place. I don't need to travel to Narnia to disprove Narnia. Narnia is not a real place, and in the case of the vacuum of the sky, it's disproven by several laws of nature. So we're not going to be travelling to the vacuum of the sky. There is no such place, even if they claim that they'll take you there in 10 years' time. I've got you displayed, Ranty. What have you got for us to see?
Well, what we have here is we have a flat earther who, I'm sure all the Globers would love this to happen, for the flat earther to go up to the ISS and then return back to the sphere Earth and tell everybody that the Earth is a globe, and then they can all get back to their happy little lives. So I have decided to set a GoFundMe up for £45 million, because that's how much it's going to cost to send somebody apparently to the ISS. Now then, we all know that it's all bogus and never ever going to take place. However, I just want this to be up there to show everybody how absurd this is, that the average human being can literally just pull £45 million out of his pocket and head off to the ISS. So if anybody wants to, the Globers want to come back and say, well, yes, anybody can go up to the ISS, send them over here and make a donation. Once I've got £45 million together, then we'll see what's what, yeah?
Yeah.
That should be quick.
Alternatively, yeah, support channels that are actually exposing that space is fake. Smash that super chat.
Yeah, although it is a lose-lose situation, because either you're not gonna actually, give the money to NASA and not fulfill your promise, or you are gonna give your money to NASA.
Yeah, that was, well said, Arwin. You're either going to be shown to be a fraud in the respect that you had no intention of doing that. I know it's just a joke. Don't donate to Ranty.
Yeah, donate to me. I will actually get a P900 or P1000. Sorry.
Out to Roxanne the Globalist and I says hello all in chat. Hello Roxanne, good to have you.
Shout to Roxanne.
There we go. Jutmont the drunk monkey. Nathan, you're only worried about going up to the ISS because it would destroy your shit show. Right,
Can't go to the ISS. The ISS is
real. We're really worried. We're so worried over here, guys.
Jutmont, yeah. Head over to that GoFundMe. Get the campaign going. Yeah, 45 million to go. Come on. You can shut this shit show down. Anyway, yeah, hi Roxanne. Yeah, nice to see you in as well.
Yeah, it's all a load of nonsense. So, Boyle's law, second law of thermodynamics, you can't have gas pressure without a container. The gas would fill space, all that stuff applies. You can't go to Narnia. It's nonsense.
You can't go to Narnia?
No.
What do you mean?
I don't need to disprove that there's a magical wardrobe.
He just can't afford a magical wardrobe, that's all.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll start GoFundMe for 45 million to get me through that magical wardrobe so I can disprove that.
Damn it!
Hey, Paul. Hey, 10th man. Good to have you both.
Hello.
For 45 million, you should definitely be able to get a proper CGI studio in Hollywood. So that could work. New movie, Flat Earthers Go to Narnia.
I'm not funding it.
They'll find some reason to cancel no matter what, even if you did.
Yes, it's not going to happen. You know, the ISS exists on a stage somewhere. The light in the sky, I've no idea what that is. They call it a tin can with men in. It's not. That's a stage somewhere. Yeah. And the reason we can disregard it out of hand is because they're claiming to be in Narnia. A second law of thermodynamics violation. The sky vacuum. Well, the sky is not a vacuum. If it was, the gas would expand in all directions to reach equilibrium, and we at sea level would be the vacuum. We're not, because gas needs something to press upon. A container, if you will. The gas has an antecedent. To have gas pressure, you need the antecedent of a container. Boyle's law. So, space is fake. Nobody's going to space. The people who claim to go to space are liars. There is no doubt about that. Anybody who openly professes, Chris Hatfield, plenty of masterclass adverts that go out before these shows. Great, I'll take your money in that regard. Thank you very much for advertising on my videos. However, you are a liar. You're claiming to go to a second law of thermodynamics violation. The gas that you claim you travel to until it all goes black. Well, that gas would fill the black, because that's claimed to be a vacuum.
What's diffraction, Nathan?
What's diffraction? Interference.
Where's that in the curve calcs?
It's not in there.
Where's anything in the curve calcs besides the curve calcs?
There isn't. It's just all blamed on curve.
Oh, funny that we can't find the curve, but we got a calculator that tells us where the curve is that we can't find. It's awesome.
Check out how triggered Jazzaconda is. It's not fuck gas pressure, assholes, you dumb fuck. Okay, Jazz. Lay off the booze.
I think it's a little too late for that.
Jazz wants us to call it atmospheric pressure. I'm
Yeah,
wondering
no
if
worries. Yes.
Jazz knows what the atmosphere is made of.
Yeah, gas. Yeah, the atmospheric pressure needs something to press on, Jazz. That's why it's called pressure. The pressing bit is critical. Now, can it press on a vacuum? No. That's a violation of a law of nature. Entropy would take effect. The gas would fill the space. Simple. So yeah, atmospheric pressure would fill the space if the sky was a vacuum, known as outer space. It isn't. That's a lie. That's how it debunks it. The gas proves the sky is not a vacuum.
Oh, I've had my first donation, £1,500.
What?
You joking? You liar. You're just lying. J screen. Let's see this $1,500 or pounds.
Nah, I'm only joking.
I knew it. I absolutely knew it.
Son of a bitch.
Look, you're ruining my e-begging
You better
right
take
now.
that down before people actually do start contributing to that, man.
Be careful.
Yeah,
I
started off
have actually put I don't want anybody to donate. I've actually specifically put that in the description.
Oh, that's fair enough then. So you can't be shown to be a charlatan. I was wrong, and so was Arwin.
Yeah, if you say, okay, look, if you're stupid enough to actually donate to it, just know that I'm just gonna pocket it all.
I put anyway.
If you disclaim that, then they can't do anything.
This is for an example purpose, and I really do not want, expect, or ask for any donations to this whatsoever, as it will be wasted money on a Narnia dream.
Oh, that's even better.
I even got your Narnia in there, Nathan.
Not my Narnia.
Not my Narnia. That sounds like a hashtag. Hashtag
would-
not my Narnia.
Yeah, hashtag not my Narnia. Yeah, that's not bad. Hashtag not my Narnia. But it doesn't really refer to space vacuums and sky vacuums and stuff, does it? But yeah, still.
Shatner's bassoon. Yes, I got enough for the drone that I originally wanted until David Weiss mentioned to me that I could actually buy a moderate one that filmed in infrared as well for a little more money. So I'm putting that towards it myself, and when I've got that together, I'll be buying that.
You find out how far this new drone can go up in the sky, Ranty?
How high it can go up?
Yes.
Oh, you mean for the UK laws?
Well, no, I guess you cover for both. I'm thinking what the drone's limitations are.
Well, it can go high. It can go about 1,500 feet, but I think the UK laws are 500. So
that's where you got the $1 a foot for the $1,500 donation.
well, it's not bad. I suppose if you think of it that way.
Okay.
So yeah, Ranty did get enough for his drone, but he asked for a slightly lesser model. So he's going to put the rest in himself and just get a slightly better model that's got infrared and various other features that the Maverick Pro. I don't know why I'm staring over my words today. Why the Maverick Pro 2 has not got, which was the one he actually asked for. So it's going up for an upgrade. What's the new one actually called?
It is still the Maverick Pro 2, but it's actually one that can film in infrared. It's a full spectrum modification.
I see. So it's the same drone. It's just been modified a bit like buying a P1000.
And getting it modded, yeah.
Right.
How long could it stay afloat on the charge?
I think it's 27 minutes.
It's not bad.
No.
That's not bad. You know, that's as good as you can get. You can watch a full sunset and things.
Yeah, that's good.
I just can't wait to get a hold of it. But to be fair, even if I had it right now, the weather's terrible. It's been terrible for the past month. In fact, all year's been crap for visibility, but just rain and stuff, it's just awful.
Nice day today here. Why aren't you out working? Not that I'm moaning, you're here, so that's good.
Well, it was forecast piss down this afternoon. So I got a message from a guy that I was due to finish his outside on. He said, he messaged me and basically said, look, it looks like it's going to rain this afternoon. Do you want to come tomorrow? I said, yeah. So here I am.
You should take a vacation to a Caribbean island where it's nice weather with your drone once you get it, and write it off as a business expense.
Shout out to Del West Watson. Says, good afternoon, people and sheeple. Thank you very much for your support, Del West Watson. Really appreciate it. Good afternoon to you too.
David Reed, trip to the ISS, lols.
Have we got any Globers in Discord?
I got a question to ask. It's pretty self-evident if no Glober pops up.
Go ahead.
Looked like Travis was about to say something.
Oh, go ahead then.
Travis? I don't think so. He's not on mute, so... Go ahead, 10th man.
They got a full model.
Someone coming up?
Yeah. Go ahead, 10th man.
All right. They got a full model of the ISS in the swimming pool in NASA. One of the NASA buildings. I was watching Formula One race, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was, and they had Lewis Hamilton taking a tour of it. Anybody catch that special one?
I've seen the... What's the name of it? There's something Submergence Center. I forgot what it's called.
I did.
What's it called? The place? Neutral Buoyancy Lab? Is it that right? Neutral Buoyancy Lab?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a chocolate. You saw the one with the race car driver, Lewis Hamilton. He took the tour and all that.
Yep, I saw it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. He said, look, I got to ask this question. And he was a little bit apologetic. He says, did we go to the moon? Yeah, right there in the whole interview. And then he wanted to try on the inner cap and then the actual space helmet. And it was a nice little commercial for NASA using race car drivers. And anyway, besides that, why don't they have a full-scale model of the ISS inside the vacuum chamber that they own somewhere in this country, with an 8-foot-inch thick walls where they can actually mirror the vacuum of space? Why a pool only?
I think you possess too much common sense in that question.
They might say size, so why not just put maybe a module of it, the part that you go out and change the external wires, so they could practice in the real situation, because we're told they got to do it all as real as possible before they get there. And they have something called that big vacuum chamber.
Okay, as No Globehead stepped forward with the mainstream narrative answer, the real answer is because all of it is filmed in that water. So it's a useful tool for actually producing the footage they claim is the vacuum of space, which doesn't exist. It violates several natural laws. So that's where they actually produce the footage they claim is in the sky vacuum. There is no sky vacuum, so there's no necessity to fake it in a vacuum, because there isn't one. But there is a necessity to produce footage, and that is precisely where they produce the EVA footage, the outside footage. That's what they do it with. The inside footage is just filmed on a set with high wire. The outside footage is filmed underwater. Hashtag bubbles in space.
So then the anomalies, as some would call it, other people would call it evidence. So the anomalies or evidence of bubbles in space would give precedent to your view of them filming it in the water, and the wires inside of a set when you see the astronauts grabbing the wires that are attached to their harnesses. So it would seem like you have a point there, Nathan.
Well, regardless of if I'm right or wrong about the production method, it is a production. There is no space for them to be filming where they claim to be filming. So it is definitely a production. There's no two ways about it. Now, the high wire thing is glaringly obvious to anyone with eyeballs, as far as I can tell. You know, if you don't want to accept that it's high wire, then you're indoctrinated or zealous. There's just no other way of looking at it, because it is obvious. Having seen the dissections of films like Gravity, they use the same exact techniques. Like, literally the exact same techniques. So, if you don't spot that, that's fine. If you want to ignore the bubbles in space thing, well, you know, again, space isn't real. So where are they filming it? Well, where have they got an exact replica of the ISS? Underwater. Well, where else have they got one? Nowhere that we know of. And we've got bubbles in space in the footage. The place that they can't travel to. So they're definitely not up in the sky, because that's impossible. There is no sky vacuum. But they're filming it somewhere, and what do you know? They've got a massive scale model underwater. Oh, well, you don't need to be a genius to put two and two together, do you?
No, I've shown the footage to people, and they, even though they're Globers, they say, yeah, that's phony. And then I've tried to show the footage to people who say they're Globers, and they won't even look at the footage. So I say you're phony, meaning their intent to find the truth is phony. They're scared of it. But playing the middle here, obviously, with my questions, if I was an arbitrator, I'd say, wait a minute, this side says this, and your side says this, but this side has this. How do you account for that? There's going to be a big pause and a big silence on the Glober side, because you obviously could see those wires. And you obviously see the bubbles in space, which shouldn't be there. So it's pretty apparent between those two, no matter how good their production is, there's flaws in it.
Right, and it all lends credence to the assertion that space is fake. The fact that it's violating several natural laws should be enough, but then when you look into what they claim space is, and their images from space, it's all fake and fraud. So again, you don't need to be a genius to put two and two together. If the images are fake, and the medium can't exist, then the medium can't exist. You know, there's nothing else to say. So what have you got? What you're left with? Well, just a load of fakery and fraud. That's it. That's all you've got.
Sometimes the truth is too hard for people to accept. Like, for example, can't have gas pressure without a container. You say, well, how hard is that of a truth to accept? We experience it every day with almost a multitude of items that we ourselves own or see other people use. But when you say, well, that's how the sky is, can't have gas pressure without a container of some kind, they say, well, maybe it's different up there. And I say, okay, fine. Maybe it's different up there. How? Why do they, if it's different out there in a different way, you don't know the answer, right? They go, no. And I say, okay, then explain why they got wires and bubbles in this out there. Why do you have bubbles and wires in this out there that's different than every other law that we observe here?
You know what the best part is for me? People are under the impression that this thing was built up there, right? So they sent it up there in parts. And how many astronauts did they send up there to supposedly start building it? Something the size of a football field. So what, those guys were just living up there, floating around in space at 17,500 miles per hour while building it? Seems kind of silly to me. And then I had a guy tell me, when I asked him, well, why wasn't any of that videotaped? And he told me it would be too hard. I said, okay, so it would be too hard for them to videotape themselves building a football stadium-sized object space, but it wouldn't be too hard for them to actually build it. It's ridiculous. People believe this. Amazing.
Yeah, sorry to get on your case, but all of these narratives beg the question of space. So you're arguing about whether or not it would be possible, when building the ISS in space, to film it. Well, if you can build it in space, then it's possible to film it being built in space. All of which is begging the question of space. No, they definitely didn't build it in space. Space isn't real. They definitely didn't film themselves building it in space, because space isn't real. It's a violation of a law of nature. Anything claimed to come from that medium is immediately fake. They need to debunk the non-filming of it. Don't need to travel to it. You can't. That's the be-all and end-all of every argument when it comes to anything to do with space. It's not a possibility to have that medium.
Nathan, we see it on telly all the time.
So, I see Godzilla on telly all the time. Godzilla's not real. Until I see Godzilla. But Godzilla's not at least Godzilla's not violating a law of nature.
Yeah, but we see it on telly.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you see a magic trick, it doesn't change that it's a magic trick, especially when it violates a law of nature.
But it's on telly.
Yeah, this is what we come up against. Yeah, but it's on telly. Well, no, it's not on telly, right? If it was on... You can't have a violation of a law of nature on telly. You know, because it's on telly doesn't mean they've violated that natural law. It's a natural law. You know, they're just lying to you, Ranty, when you watch telly. Stop watching telly.
Well, I've seen them track... I've seen them track Santa with a radar and GPS tracking as he was flying over during Christmas. So it was on the news too. So if it, so I think Santa's real.
It must be real. Must be real.
Stop watching telly. It's really easy.
Hey, Ranty.
Yeah.
You gotta get off on telly and get into intelligence.
Ha.
But it's on telly.
It's poison. Poison. TV's poison.
Why we don't have telly here?
In little books, drawings and sketches.
Yeah. And it says on the front of those, as seen on TV.
And they have a model.
Ranty's got a point there. Because they all say, would they all lie? You think there's a big conspiracy? You think every government in the world is on this and it's on the telly? And you want me to believe you, some farmer from Southern California, instead of all the officials? No, I want you to think for yourself.
I've seen drawing and sketches of Narnia.
The priesthood tell you what heaven is. They tell you what the sky is. It doesn't matter how hard they tell you or how much they're on the telly box. It's a violation of a law of nature. You can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum. Pressure requires pressing. So without something to press on, it would disperse. Second law of thermodynamics. The gas would fill the space. Entropy would take effect. The region they tell you about is not real. It can't be. Now, you can believe them if you choose to. Doesn't mean it suddenly stops violating that law of nature, or several for that matter.
But it's on telly.
It is on telly. Not that I would see it though, Ranty, because I don't watch telly anymore.
But it's on telly.
On telly isn't reality, right? We don't live on telly. You can create all sorts of magical worlds on telly.
Okay.
Throw the boob tube out.
TV's...
But it's in a book.
It's on the internet.
Yes, okay. Just look up the word discernment and then have at it with your books and your telly.
Forget about the second thermodynamics law and all that.
Yeah.
We're not interested in any of that. We got telly.
Yeah, but you can read about these laws of nature.
Mm.
And then you can decide for yourself, can't you? Having taken into consideration that it wouldn't be a law of nature if something violated it, and then know that the people on telly, without disclaiming it, are telling you that they've got a violation of a law of nature on their hands and they can travel to it. Just happens to be in the sky and they just happen to wear wizard suits when they travel there. And it's very critical to your entire worldview. because it basically makes up the entire paradigm of your existence. So yeah, you can believe the men in weird costumes, wizards if you will, when they tell you that they're in a violation of a second law of thermodynamics and Boyle's law, or you can disbelieve them and just say you're a liar.
But it looks so fake, it's got to be real.
And it's on telly.
Yeah, exactly. It looks. Well, does it look? Are you looking at that? Or is that a presentation someone else is giving you? Are you going and looking at Starman? No. Are you going down and looking at Ball Earth from a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, the sky vacuum, otherwise known as outer space? No, you're not doing that. But when the fundies tell us about it, we suddenly are doing it. We've been to space, they'll tell you. Have we? No, we have not. Space isn't real. Anybody who claims to go there, which is definitely not you, will be lying to you. You just believed them. Why? Because you've seen it on telly. That's it. Not because you've been there, not because you've experienced it, not because it's a place that could possibly exist, simply because a priest told you with a wizard costume on.
This is how easy it is to win over the Globers. It seems you just show them some pictures, and that's it. They have their proof then.
Right. Some people are easy to convince.
Like Brenda with that image that she keeps coming up with from the 1960s.
Like, the blue marble.
Well, no, it's like a satellite. I think she has an image of a satellite that she presents, and it's like, well, who took the picture? In what year? And it's in HD. Okay, so it's in 4K from 1960s. Yeah.
4K in the 60s, huh? It's not the same 4K. No.
And she says, yeah, but this was taken in 63 or something. And you're like, okay, can you prove that? Yeah, it's in the Smithsonian or something, and it's all under lock and key though. So they have it all. They have the originals, but no one can get to them. No one can touch them. No one can see them, but they're there because they've been told they're there.
Yeah, the pictures might be there, but where do the pictures claim to have come from again? Oh, right, that second law of thermodynamics violation, the vacuum of the sky. Oh, that's not a real place. So if they've claimed to take pictures from there, then they're instantly fake. Easy. You know, show me that you can have a second law of thermodynamics violation outside your front door every time you look up, and I'll believe that you've taken pictures from a second law of thermodynamics violation, a sky vacuum. Because I've never been there. And am I intending to? No. I can't go there. In the same way I can't travel through a wardrobe and go to Narnia and experience time dilation. That's never going to happen. It's just a made-up place. Space is completely fake. It doesn't matter. So's Narnia. You're on, Paul.
You even have a picture of the black hole.
You want to make your screen full screen? You're currently on mute, just FYI. And I need you to comment and just do stills, not actually play
I'm
it.
working on it. I'm working on it. Yeah, I've been thinking about this experiment lately, and Lily's in the background. Have you guys seen this? Or not experiment, I guess, you know, there's no variables and all that fun stuff. So have you seen these supposedly doing thrust in the vacuum? Have you seen these videos?
Rockets in space. Rockets in a vacuum, right?
Yeah, that's what they were trying to prove. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
even the rockets in space, that's what they're trying to prove. But if you watch these videos, and I'm not going to play it for copyright just to keep from getting a strike, but you know, they have to use an oxidizer, which basically has oxygen into it, and there's a chemical reaction that's occurring inside there to cause the thrust. The one thing they don't account for is when there's that chemical reaction, there's something that we talk about all the time on the show, and it's thing called gas occurs. So when this oxidization occurs inside this vacuum chamber, it actually creates a gas. so it actually fills the space after they put the vacuum or remove the vacuum.
Okay,
So really,
I
this
agree.
experiment falls short.
Sorry,
right off the bat.
sorry, I cut your ending off. I thought it ended. So my question: what do you think the next thing I'm going to say is, Paul? What do you think the next thing I'm going to say is, though, Paul?
There's a container and there's gas pressure.
No, nothing to do with the container. No. It begs the question of space. So this is one of those arguments that they just love us to have, like arguing about whether or not the ISS is fake, without actually pointing out that the medium is fake. Because they love you to say, well, could the ISS survive in a vacuum? Meaning we beg the question that space is real. Well, this is no different. So you're saying, right, got a rocket in a vacuum in this chamber. And here we go, look, rockets work in space. Newton proven, right? Well, the whole time you're begging the question that means that the sky is a vacuum. Well, no. Does this in any way demonstrate that the sky is a vacuum? Of course not. But as you rightly point out, that's the next point, it's taking place in a container. So there we are, with the necessary antecedent, of course. Yeah? If you're going to have gas pressure in the first instance, you need a container. So the fact that they're trying to claim that, yeah, it's a vacuum, and yeah, once you've got a rocket launched into that vacuum, it's going to propel itself. Well, no. Who cares? It makes no difference. The sky is not a vacuum. So proving that a rocket could work in a fake medium, like I care. Yeah, I'll prove that gas lamps can work in Narnia, because that proves Narnia.
Well, I'm just proving the fact that this is not truly a vacuum because there's a gas in there as soon as the ignition is ignited, so it ceases to be a vacuum.
I agree.
So that experiment falls apart right there.
Why are they making the demonstration, Paul?
Oh, I know.
No,
I
just
get
say
it.
it. Just say it. Just say it, though. Why are they making the demonstration? What's the purpose? What are they trying to prove?
Just to show that vacuum or thrusters can work in a vacuum.
And why would they be demonstrating that? Who cares? But why would they be demonstrating?
You and Narnia.
I want Paul to say it.
Narnia.
I just want Paul to say it. So why would they be? I mean, who cares? Okay, that's fascinating. Rockets can work in a vacuum. That's wonderful. Who cares? Why would they be showing us this?
To show that the vacuum of space is real, and they're presuming that it exists, and that these thrusters work in that vacuum.
Wrong. They're not trying to prove that the vacuum of space is real. They're begging the question that space is a vacuum, and they're disproving a straw man argument that rockets can work in their fake medium, whilst simultaneously making you beg the question that space is a vacuum. It's not whether or not space is a vacuum that they're questioning, it's whether or not rockets can work in the presupposition that sky is a vacuum. That's what they're doing. So all of these arguments force you, the flat earther, to beg the question of space, and then pick apart from within the fallacy whether or not something would work in their fake medium. So for me, it's like, as soon as this comes on, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, they're not proving their point. But their point works on the premise that the sky is a vacuum. And it isn't. That's a violation of a law of nature. So proving that something can work in a vacuum, well, yeah, you can create a man-made vacuum and you might be able to have something work in it. That's got nothing to do with the sky. But that's what they're begging the question of. They're presupposing the sky is a vacuum, and that's where I cut the legs off that argument. But thank you anyway, Paul. Much appreciated.
We have pictures, Nathan.
It's on TV, right, Ranty?
Yeah, look at this.
It's on the telly.
On the television.
Oh my God, Ranty.
That's a black hole that
it's
nothing
Sauron,
can escape from.
Isn't that Sauron? You sure you got the right still?
This is a black hole.
Those look like Sauron.
Again, you know, this picture of a light in the sky potentially might be real. I don't deny that you can call it what you like. If you want to call it a black hole, that's perfectly acceptable to me. But when you then use the supposition that a black hole is actually something that's bending this conceptual medium of space-time, and you've got event horizons in this conceptual medium that's a vacuum, well, no, that proves nothing. What, you've looked at a light in the sky? That's fascinating. Does it prove that you can have a violation of a law of nature with people travelling through it? No, it doesn't. It's just an image. Well, wonderful. That's lovely. Does it prove the sky's a vacuum? No. Oh, well, let's move on till you do. Let's see if you can defy that law of nature before we start begging the question of your fundamentalist sky belief.
This will keep the sheeple happy, though, for a couple of years, seeing the first ever black hole.
I think it's wonderful. Keeps me happy. Wonderful. That's a lovely image. I'm very happy with that.
Picture of a donut, Nathan. They've just blurred it out a little bit.
Yeah, you can call it what they call it. I don't mind. Black hole. There you go. There's a black hole. It's not black. It's not a hole. But there we go. That's what it is, according to them. You can call it whatever you like. I'll call it, if I was naming it, Tony.
Chicken.
I'd call
Chicken
it Tony.
dinner.
Well, I was going to give it a person's name. You know, Fred, Tony. That's what I'd call it. But you can call it whatever you like. But does it mean the sky is a vacuum? No. Does it mean that suddenly the reification of a conceptual medium known as space-time pops into existence and becomes reality? No. It doesn't really prove anything. It's just an image. In the same way as when they show you images of men who we claim are in a pool walking around what they claim is a tin can in a sky vacuum, then let's not worry about whether or not they're walking around or whether or not it would work in a vacuum. Let's just point out that the sky is not a vacuum. That violates several laws of nature. And then there's no argument about whether or not it's possible to work in their presupposed medium, because the presupposed medium couldn't possibly be real. End of argument.
M. Scott Veach in the house. What does he owe us again?
No idea.
What proof does he owe us? I thought he was supposed to be bringing some proof of something.
I don't know. I don't poke these people. You'd have to ask Anthony when he's next round. He owes me nothing.
Can't recall.
So from Newton on, it was mass attracts mass, gravity's a force. Then when they realized, whatever they realized, they changed it to a mathematical concept, the bending of space-time. And the force, there's no force anymore, but you can think of it as a force now. So think of what they've done. They've taken what they've taught generations of people, that the bigger objects attract the smaller objects in the sense of the sun and the universe and the so-called planets that don't exist. And they said, oh, okay, this jig is up. Let's come up with a new one. Okay, let's do it with math and conceptual items because there's no way of disproving it. They're so clever in changing it, and the sheep are so dumb to follow it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Why have this force, this magical force that could be disproven here on the ground, when you can turn it into something that takes place in a conceptual medium in the sky that reifies your model? So it's only necessitating a sphere Earth bending the conceptual medium and any other body that they claim is a physical body bending same said conceptual medium. So it begs the question that we are a sphere bending space-time traversing the sun in a heliocentric world. Well, the sun, another light in the sky, we're not travelling around that. That's horseshit. The light in the sky. Yeah, you can track its motion. Does that prove the shape that we are standing on? No. It does for them, because they then take the trajectory of that light in the sky and turn its path into a spherical radius value. And the model begins. Well, okay, you presupposed an R value, turned us into a ball based on a light in the sky. No actual demonstrable, repeatable, provable evidence to that other than what the priests say when they wear the wizard costumes and travel to a second law of thermodynamics violation. That's the best you've got. To reify it with little pretty pictures, magical stories, telebox. That's pathetic. No, we've got laws of nature. You're not going to violate them with your fundy belief in a sky vacuum. You're certainly not going to prove it with pictures from a fake medium. But to reify space-time based on your idea that we're a sphere going around the sun is utter horseshit. It's just the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard. But you're right, 10th man. Let's get it well out of the hands of the people who experiment with it with balls in sheds, stuff it up into the sky with the conceptual medium where no one can ever clarify anything to do with it because it's a conceptual medium. How are you going to bend that?
Yeah, what the hell is space-time again?
A conceptual medium. Just made up. Just nonsense. Doesn't really exist. It's like time. It's just a concept.
Ah, copy that.
Space-time is based on the assumption that gravity would be a thing at the first place. Then if it increases severely, that it would actually bend the fabric of space. Very convoluted spatial nonlinearity concept.
Sounds like
What is the
imagination.
what does the fabric of a vacuum look like, Arwen?
No, not that. No, it's literal spatiality, not vacuum space. It's not about that. It's about the presupposed gravity reaching a certain strength, presupposing that's even possible, and that would then bend the way time functions in space.
You know, that's interesting because in that movie Interstellar, on the telly, movie Interstellar, when Matthew McConaughey is having a little trouble figuring it out, that other engineer on the so-called spaceship says, "Here, let me show you," and he bends that piece of paper and pokes a hole through it.
That's the word. No, hold on. That's the wormhole concept. That's something else.
Well, every fabric of non-vacuum must have a worm in it, I guess.
No, it's purely conceptual medium to kind of like promote the outlook that exploration in the vastness of space would be very easy and not just an eternal task of nothingness. That's why they invented that.
We got a black hole, we got a wormhole, we got time, we got fabric.
They got a medium and they got doors. That's the imagination thing. They're just providing
it's all
a map for people to let their imaginations dwell upon.
That's fine. If it's in just the imagination, it's fine.
And their wallets.
Shout out to Rubik's. I'm going to read this how it says it. My dog is a smaller mass. Does not stay with me. Don't really follow. But thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate your support, Rubik's. You'll have to fill us in, 10th man.
What's that?
You laughed. I didn't get it. You obviously did.
Well, I laugh because I have a dog and he doesn't stay with me when he sees a rabbit either.
But I bet you linked that to mass.
But I'm the bigger mass.
But hold on.
Oh, he's saying he's bigger than the dog. He should have more attractive force than the dog, but the dog doesn't stay pulled towards him. I see what he's saying.
Oh, I got an input. Look, if you have a dog and you're holding a ball, that may actually cause it to orbit you.
I've tried that, but when the rabbit shows up, game over.
Right. Just saying that mass may be attracting mass if there are balls involved, and the mass is actually a dog.
Squirrel.
Chipmunk.
Squirrel.
Chipmunk.
What's going on? Quite a few people in Discord. Any of you got any scientific evidence for a spinning ball fundamentalist religious belief in a ball Earth?
Well, can you scientifically prove that somebody has a religious fundamentalist belief?
Scientifically? I don't think I can vary fundy belief as an independent variable.
No, but it's not a physical, natural world. So I don't think you can.
Okay. I'm not looking for scientific evidence of the fundamentalism. I'm looking for their claim of scientific evidence for their spinning ball religion.
Because I was taking your sentence out of context.
I
correctly.
see. Well, you've bought the Globus.
I'm on a roll today.
Must be somebody with some spinning ball religion evidence. Clearly not.
No, they're losing.
That's right. It's a Monday. Everyone's very late.
Morning, Nathan. I see Brenda in there.
Maybe they all died from withdrawal symptoms. You know, there was no Jose's, there was no Globebusters.
Morning.
So they all just dried up.
I was wondering about if I could ask Nathan a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you have a reaction to Bob Nodell saying that you are destroying flat Earth?
Nope.
I didn't hear a response.
Said nope.
Yeah, nope.
Because he says that you're spreading. Says that you're spreading lies and stupid insanity, and that you're misinforming flat earthers.
Are you sure he wasn't talking about you?
No, he was definitely talking about Nathan and Riley and Quantum Eraser.
Okay, because it
Oh, man.
perfectly describes you in one sentence. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. So, but he wasn't. He was talking about
you do.
Nathan.
That's good.
Yeah,
Brenda,
so
Brenda?
You don't have a reaction. You don't have a reaction to that?
I got a question for you. Is Bob Nodell an authority that you have some kind of adherence to?
No, he has an opinion, and I was requesting Nathan's reaction to his claims that Nathan is destroying.
I think
the flat
Brenda
Earth.
just wants us to go infighting because she'll do anything to make us stop.
No, she clarified.
Well, I'm just curious.
Including
No, I don't give a
manipulating
shit
us
about you
into
people.
attacking somebody else.
I'm not sure I want you to go away because you're incredible entertainment. You're great entertainment.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you for tuning in.
Yeah,
I really appreciate your support.
It's amazing. How stupid
Yeah, thanks for your
somebody
support, Brenda.
That's why I'm here.
So
If you really appreciate it, then
Bob
donate
Bob Nodell feels that Nathan Riley and Quantum Eraser are destroying flat Earth because they're misleading flat earthers. So I was just wondering what reaction you had to that.
Oh, by not recognizing his loose, wet finger scientific method that doesn't need an independent variable, or?
Well, Bob Nodell's an engineer, so he actually knows about this stuff, right?
All you've
So
said.
it is, man.
All right,
Because that's a red herring. That's not an answer to my question. It is about him not accepting that you have to have an independent variable as the cause within the experiment in order to achieve science, isn't it?
So have you brought anything to the table today, Brenda, or are you just trying to get some infighting going?
I don't know what the basis of his claim is. I think.
Oh wow! So you don't even know anything about it. Well, thanks, Brenda.
Right, I'm just asking
us about something you're not informed.
That's why I'm asking.
If I could just have 30 seconds with Brenda. You said he's an engineer. You said he has an opinion. You said it's a feeling. Where are
no,
some
I didn't
action?
say any of those things.
That was a quick 30 seconds. Maybe
Okay,
there is
well,
bending of time space with Brenda.
Sorry to interrupt you. I know you only have 5 seconds. Shout out to Retro Bill. FE debate, the highlight of my day. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate your support, and thank you, Retro Bill. Go ahead, have your 30 seconds, 10th man, and then Brenda, if you can respond, please.
With Brenda
everyone else, if you can not rumpus. Everyone else, if you can not rumpus 10th man and Brenda. Go ahead, 10th man.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is Brenda said it clearly. He's an engineer who has an opinion, who has a feeling. That's all well and dandy. Now, how about?
Yeah, it's not about flat Earth. It's not about flat Earth. It's about Nathan destroying the flat Earth community.
Yes, again, you cut into my 30 seconds. But let's try it again. Of course it's about Nathan, because it has to be. When you have no evidence, you ad hom. And that's what he's doing, because he's got no evidence for his claim. So my question is, should an engineer, with all the degrees and studying that goes with it, resort to feeling and beliefs, or should they provide some form of factual evidence, Brenda?
I'm not catching the ends of the sentences. I'm also not catching the beginning of sentences when Nathan talks. I don't know. Maybe that's my connection. Maybe it's not that good. I'm not getting everything you say. So I think that Bob Nodell has all the evidence he needs for his opinion, right? It's just his opinion that, in his opinion, the Nathan Riley Quantum Eraser group are destroying flat Earth by spreading misinformation and lies.
Okay, if you're going to accuse of someone spreading misinformation, provide the evidence, not your feeling about it. Did you hear all of that?
Yes. I'm not making the accusation. He is.
No, I know.
And
I know. But until you listen to enough of Bob Nodell offering actual evidence, thank you for alerting us that he's only offering his feelings right now.
And with that, I'll say, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. However, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, then unfortunately this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. And of course, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this live debate possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Once again, keep watching if you are watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Like that Bob Nodell saying.
From Bob Nodell.
Yeah, but was it a live stream? Was it a live
do the globe
stream?
earthers have nothing else to do than sort of try and engender some sort of infighting by bringing up, who said what, and they said this, she said that, he said that. Is that all the globe earthers can bring to the table at this point?
No. I'm
There
just
was no
curious.
Globebusters.
Come on. I think you're being disingenuous that, you're just trying to stir the pot.
No, I think
That's
he's
my
right.
opinion.
No, actually, Brenda was spot on by saying that it was his opinion and his feelings. I think she was right, and that's fine because that's all they are. So I appreciate.
Yeah, those are
Brenda saying that.
Bob Nodell's feelings. Those are his feelings, his opinions, and the only evidence anybody needs for their feelings are, in fact, their feelings. If I feel, or it's my opinion that broccoli is gross, that's all the evidence I need to show that I feel that broccoli is gross.
Right, but in this case, it's the context of, what is it again? Science. So I think that when feelings are concerned, it's probably the least relevant to anything in the scientific process.
This is a good road. This is a good road that Brenda is on, because now I'm going to ask her a question, if I may. Have the panel just realize I want to talk to Brenda here, back and forth. No interruptions, please. So Brenda, Bob Nodell offers feelings and opinions and beliefs, and you correctly said that, correct?
By the way, they've started doing some construction work across from me, so I can't always ensure that it will be quiet. No, they stopped.
That's okay.
Yeah, they're his feelings and his opinion. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So when the person he ad homs as a grocery clerk, Nathan Oakley, says can't have gas pressure without a container, is Nathan Oakley saying that from a feelings basis or a factual basis?
I think you're asking the wrong person.
Or when?
I didn't hear the end of your sentence there. It trailed off.
When Nathan asks,
maybe my connection is bad or something.
I said when Nathan asks, can you have gas pressure without a container? Is he saying that from his own personal belief or feelings, or is that a law?
Are you saying that Nathan doesn't believe you can have gas pressure in a container?
No, I'm saying when he puts that argument out as a question, can you have gas pressure without a container? Is he offering his personal feelings or opinions or beliefs, or is he actually asking, is that possible with the second law of thermodynamics in place?
Well, a question isn't an expression of feelings or opinions. It's just a question.
So go on with me. So since Nathan, you've identified, is not offering his beliefs, but a good question, right? On the basis of the second law of thermodynamics, he obviously is not offering his feelings or his bias. He's actually stating what a law states, correct?
Well, when you're asking a question, you're not stating anything. You're asking a question.
I'm asking you to state it based on the law we are stating, or he is stating.
To state what?
Well, I'll rephrase it. Can gas pressure exist without a container if it has nothing to push it up against?
No, it can't.
Yeah, of course you can.
Can you show
Okay,
us?
now that's your feelings, but can you prove it?
No. Let's
That's
see
an
that.
objective fact. Yeah,
Let's
of
see
course
that.
it is.
Let's just see that objective fact, please.
No, see it?
Yes, please.
I'm sure the gas pressure is lower with altitude.
Sorry,
yeah.
Hold on, Brenda. I want you to demonstrate gas pressure without a container, the necessary antecedent for gas pressure, as opposed
I want
to
you to demonstrate
talk all
pressure
over
with
me
a
and
container.
exercise your right to mute me while I make my points. So, rather than using
Gas
the mute
pressure with a
button,
container.
which Arwin's now chosen to do also, rather than using the mute button or obfuscating my question, and using your fundamentalist religious belief about what the sky is, I'd like you to demonstrate gas pressure without a container, please.
I'm sure gas pressure gets lower with altitude.
Yeah, I heard you the first time. That's why I put in the caveat without using your fundamentalist religious belief that the sky is a vacuum.
I didn't say the sky was a vacuum.
Yeah,
I
you're
said
talking about a
the
pressure
higher you
gradient,
go,
and
the
the only
higher you
reason
go, the
you're
lower.
using the pressure gradient is because you have a fundamentalist religious belief that the sky is a vacuum known as outer space. I know that, and you know that. Now, you can make this
I'm not
argument.
assuming that.
Oh, okay.
I'm
In that
saying
case,
that
I'll
the
ask a
higher-
question then, Brenda. Well, how
I'm
is
not
your?
I'm not
How is
assuming there's a
your?
vacuum.
Yeah, you're just using your mute button again. So, how is
I don't
pointing
have a
at the
mute
sky any way a demonstration of gas pressure without a container? Then,
As I said, gas pressure reduces with altitude. So the
Yes.
higher you go, the
I
lower
agree.
the gas pressure gets.
yes, I agree. The gas pressing. Yes, that's correct. It's still pressure. It still needs to press. So you haven't addressed the question. How is this in any way a demonstration of gas pressure without a container, which is what you're being asked to demonstrate?
Well, the higher you go,
Yeah, you're
the
just going to
lower
say
the
it
gas
over and
pressure
over again,
gets.
like a stuck record. I heard you. Do you want me to
Well,
repeat
you
back
don't-
what you've
you
said?
don't-
The higher you go, the lower the gas pressure gets. Yes, I heard you the first, second, and third time. Now, I don't need you to repeat your assertion 4 more times. I need you to explain how that assertion, which does not in any way give a demonstration of gas pressure without a container, it's just a statement of fact. Simple. Not a demonstration of gas pressure without a container, Brenda.
But you agree, therefore, that does happen, right? You agree?
It makes no difference. It's not a demonstration. It's not what you're being asked for. Who cares? Do you agree that you can have both white and brown rabbits?
So I take
Right,
that
so
as
it
a
means
yes, that
nothing.
you agree
It doesn't mean
that
anything
with
in terms of the claim. So I can make a claim that you can agree to also. Getting an agreement staircase isn't what we're looking for. We're looking for a demonstration of gas pressure without a container beyond your fundamentalist belief that we live in an open system next to a vacuum.
So I just want to make it clear you are in agreement with me that gas pressure gets lower with altitude, right? I just want to get
I've
that
agreed with
on
you
the table.
3 times. This will be the 4th time I agree with you. The 4th time I
Okay.
point out that
Okay.
gas pressure, and the 4th time you rumpus me when I provide my rebuttal. So my rebuttal gets interrupted by the person with the mute button here. That would be Brenda. So yes, I've heard you now 4 times state that, and 4 times I've agreed, and 4 times I've tried to get a rebuttal in with you interrupting, which is to say that pressure, in your description, needs to press. So this in no way addresses, and there she goes again. Obviously, it's globe head mute button time. Yeah. It in no way addresses.
I just
and
said,
there she goes again. It's globe head mute button
Jesus,
time.
Brenda, shut
Globe
up.
head mute button. Yeah, Brenda, I'm trying to get to the end of my rebuttal, which I haven't got to the end of once, but we've definitely heard your claim made 4 times. Haven't we, Brenda? Yeah, she goes absolutely silent when she's asked a direct question. So, Brenda, I'll try once more. And it's the globe head mute button time. Time for the globe head mute button. So shut your mouth, Brenda. I'm talking. You don't need to use your mute button and oppress me and make sure that you censor reality here. The rebuttal will be heard at least once without your interruptions. I don't mind if we do it 50 more times. We've been pointing out every time that the fundy zealot doesn't like the rebuttal, that gas pressure needs to press. Therefore, if it's not got anything to press on, it's not pressure. That's the point. So your fundamentalist belief in a sky vacuum based on a pressure gradient dissipating to 0, therefore your claim of a gas pressure without a container being fulfilled is bunk, because you need to press on something. That's what pressure is.
That's not what pressure is. You don't know what pressure is.
The end of Brenda's argument.
That's not what pressure is.
It's the end of your argument, Brenda. You're an idiot. I don't want to have this conversation with anyone. I'm not going to be
how do you
told that
explain
pressure is not pressing.
Violation?
That's what pressure is.
No, it's not.
Yes,
it's not what it is.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Brenda, you have no confirmation that the gas pressure
I'm sorry,
gradients
Brenda
of the
has run out of arguments, and we've gone straight to, no, it's not. You don't know what pressure is. Nutter, over the top of everybody. So you've run out of arguments, Brenda. To declare that we don't know what pressure is and then just rumpus every word I say from here on in is not going to win you your argument. You haven't demonstrated gas pressure without a container. Now you're claiming we don't know what pressure is. So I'm not interested in this conversation. This is not a demonstration of gas pressure without a container, which is what you've been challenged for, because when asked if it's possible to have gas pressure without a container, I said no, absolutely factually correct and in line with the laws of nature and the very description of pressure itself. You said yes, it is possible, and have failed to actually demonstrate so. Now you're claiming that we don't know what pressure is. So you failed, and and telling us what we don't know isn't going to win you your argument, because your argument is won only by a demonstration of gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container.
Okay, so you're wrong, because pressure is force over area.
Oh, what area? Like the area of the container? So let me ask you this. Is the sky vacuum an area to press upon, or is it a void, devoid of area to press upon, something that you could disperse into? So you're saying the force over an area, so the gas needs an area to press upon then, doesn't it? So this would be yet another confirmation that I have obliterated your argument. You have failed to demonstrate gas pressure without a container, and then have confirmed that force over an area would be precisely what the gas needs to press on, the area, Brenda. No. So, Brenda, before you use your globe head mute button yet again, it's time that the demolition of your argument, the affirmation of my argument with your own words, gets rumpused with a mute button, isn't it, Brenda? Because this is the end, the conclusion, the point where you confirm my side of this argument. Yes, an area, Brenda, to press upon. That's right. And if you don't have an area to press upon, you don't have a force over an area, do you, Brenda?
Number one, I don't have a mute button. You're pretending I do, but I don't.
Yeah, you just talk over me. It's metaphorical. You fundies, when I come to the conclusion of my point, or point out that you continually talk over me when it comes to the conclusion, but you will get another 5th or 6th repetition of your claim that we've already heard. That's what I describe as the mute button, Brenda. What you do to shut down what I say.
Secondly, pressure in a container, inside of a container, is a force wide per area, right? Per square inch, whatever unit you're measuring, and there is pressure in there.
Brenda, you're breaking up.
Even if
Brenda, your connection's rubbish.
Even if
your connection is rubbish, Brenda.
To press again.
Your connection's rubbish, Brenda. Can you hear me saying this to you?
Yes, I can hear you. It might be my connection very well.
Yeah, I think it's your connection, Brenda.
Okay.
Anybody else care to back up their religious fundamentalist belief in a sphere Earth flying through a vacuum? No? Amazing. It is Monday. Hey, Anthony, sleeping warrior.
Is there a second show today, Nathan, or are you going out?
Spanish lesson.
Oh, is Brenda still with us?
I don't know. I think she might be reconnecting.
I'm hoping to just catch Brenda before she disappears.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Riley, did you bring breakfast for everybody else, bro?
I'm just finishing off a packet of crisps.
That's delightful. So what did you have to ask Brenda while she's reconnecting?
I just wanted to know two things. Was she sorry for jumping the gun the other day when she came on in the bounce and just basically attacked us all when we weren't even attacking her? I wanted to know whether or not she accepts that she might have got that wrong. And then if she did accept it, I'd like to have a response to the question which was aimed at you, Nathan, which was, have you got anything to comment about Bob's perception or whatever? I know you said nope, but I'd like to say something.
You can say what
she's
you
not
like.
here.
There's
no point. Well, no, if she's not here, there's no point.
Yeah, but she's, the question's been aired within the last 3 or 4 minutes, so it's not like it's not going to be concise for the audience, so you may as well.
Okay. So I'll assume that for the purposes of this discussion, I'll assume that Brenda's admitted that she made a mistake when she came in on the bounce, and that she's apologised for making the mistake, and that everything's all good apart from the deleting of the 700 files thing. In the absence of that, I'm going to respond to a question aimed at you. Bear with me one sec while I balls. Flick open my page. Okay, so screen share application window of this one. Okay, so the question that Brenda asked was, do you have a comment to make with Bob saying that you were killing Flat Earth or whatever it was? I'm going to say something. I'm going to say two things. One, Bob's generally speaking, he's got a good heart. He goes about it in a pretty bad way, in my opinion. He can't disagree with anybody well. But he's generally speaking, he's got a good heart. He's in the topic for the right reasons. But he's very, very bad at taking criticism or people that disagree with him properly. And in the light of that, I'm going to push it a bit further forward. And with the definition of pseudoscience on screen, I'm going to remind people that Bob claims that he's a man of science. He also claims that he opened Globebusters, or he took over the hosting from Jeren from Globebusters, because he wanted to teach Flat Earth to Flat Earthers and basically preach to our side about science. Bob doesn't do science. Bob doesn't realize that Bob does pseudoscience. Bob doesn't accept that he does pseudoscience. Bob preaches that he does science. We all know that Bob doesn't do science because Bob doesn't comply with scientific method. As much as you may hate Nathan or Quantum Eraser or the show or me, if you can't comply with scientific method, then you're practicing pseudoscience, Bob. And we know that you don't practice we know that you don't comply with scientific method because you refuse to acknowledge that you've got to give the independent variable a bit of a wiggle so that you can prove that it's the effect that you believe that you're seeing. We saw this in the fiber optic gyroscope, Bob. We saw people pinning against you that you proved the rotation of the Earth. We all now realize that A, you did nothing of the sort because you didn't even touch the gyroscope. But most importantly, B, that the thing that was measured, being the rotation of something, we couldn't determine what was being measured because we didn't give it a manipulation to prove that it was the thing that we believed that we were observing, i.e. the sky rotating or the Earth rotating. We can't manipulate either. Bob was taken off the hook for that one because everybody gets it. Bob realizes that he was taken off the hook, and rather than credit people for getting him off the hook, he criticizes people. Wrongly, in my opinion, but at least he realizes that he's off the hook on that one because everybody gets that he didn't even touch it. But even if he did touch it, he didn't manipulate something to prove what's being rotated, right? But rather than learn from that mistake, Bob makes the same mistake again by citing the gravimeters are proving a downwards acceleration force. Bob didn't manipulate the independent variable to prove what this downwards acceleration force is. Bob just believes that it's some kind of gravity with a unique definition that only Bob can define himself, and nobody really understands apart from Nora and Mark Doxey. And whatever this new definition for gravity is, it confuses everybody because the minute you say downwards acceleration force or gravity, everybody thinks mass attracting mass. No matter how many times you disclaim it, it's like being called a paedophile when you're not actually a paedophile. People think that you're a paedophile even when you expressly state that you're not. So let's not call it gravity, and let's not call it a downwards acceleration force. Let's just call it a measurement of something. Because whatever the gravimeters are measuring, it's the same offence again, Bob. You haven't given it a little bit of a wiggle to demonstrate the thing that you believe you're measuring is actually what you are measuring. It might be the case that the gravimeters are fake pseudoscience machines that are not measuring anything, that are software controlled. But let's just say for a moment that they are measuring something. To claim that there's a downwards acceleration force or a gravity or whatever you want to call it, aside from the fact it misleads everybody, it gives the impression that there's something there that's credible. But in failing to manipulate the thing that you believe that the gravimeters are measuring, it puts it squarely into pseudoscience, Bob. And you don't like it because you claim to be a man of science. You don't like John, Quantum Eraser, because he literally pushes this to death. And I agree with John on this. I don't agree with John on everything, and I don't agree with Nathan on everything. And we disagree properly. We have had disagreements over things in the past, and you are wrong to tell people that we are pushing people, we are failing to inform people or our friends if they get stuff wrong. I agree with John, and I agree with Nathan. If you don't push the scientific method, you are preaching pseudoscience, which is exactly what you're doing again with the gravimeter, Bob. You didn't learn from the fiber optic gyro, and you were gotten off the hook with that by us. No credit was given for it, but we got you off the hook because everybody gets that you didn't do anything. But you've fallen into the same trap again now with the gravimeters. You haven't wiggled the thing that you believe that you're observing, and because of that fault, you're making the assertion that you're proving something within science. And we know that you're not, because you're not giving it a bit of a wiggle. That's why science is there, Bob, to prove the cause of the effect. So if you're seeing the effect of gravimeters, we want to see what's causing it. Otherwise, it falls outside of science and is pseudoscience, and you're pushing it, but criticizing us for picking you up on it. Well, guess what, Bob? You're not a scientist. You're not doing science. You believe you are, but you are mistakenly regarding your profession as being based on scientific method when it actually isn't, thus satisfying the definition of pseudoscience. And in the context of F equals ma, just because we get an egg or a cherry tomato that's moving, by definition, it's supposed to be a force. That's the reason why relative density disequilibrium is a force, because we do see something moving. And applying that model, F equals ma, that means by definition, it's a force. I don't agree that it's a force. I see it as a displacement caused by the pressure variation, caused by changing the density. So you're getting all the terms mixed up, Bob. And all we're saying is we can stick to scientific method and demonstrate that the density variation within the egg solution changes the density of the solution and the egg gets displaced. The cause is changing the density. The effect is a change in pressure, and we see the egg moving, demonstrating what we're seeing. That's within scientific method. But density and buoyancy, or gravity and buoyancy, that's when it falls outside of scientific method, Bob. And you, as Bob from Globebusters, as good as your intentions are, you cannot distinguish from science and fake science. That's your problem, and you project your own crimes onto us because you disagree with us. Guess what, buddy? If you accept F equals ma as a definition of a force, you've got to accept the definition of pseudoscience too. Definitions are a bitch. I'm done. Come on, motherfuckers, give me some feedback on that.
Brenda's
So,
back.
Riley, what force changed the location of the egg in the water?
Like I said, Brenda, I changed the density of the medium. That changed the amount of mass that was in the solution. The mass pressing against the walls of the container increases. That increases the pressure. We know that pressure is a force. It pops balloons and it crushes submarines. So the pressure change.
Yeah, so you change the buoyancy of the egg. You change the
not
buoyancy.
Brenda. Not buoyancy. Not
Right.
buoyancy. Buoyancy is based on gravity, isn't it, Brenda? That's where you fall
Pressure
outside of scientific method,
gravity. Buoyancy is related to pressure, mass, and gravity.
Right. There you go. That's what you just said.
Yes.
Yeah, but Brenda,
so you change the mass of the liquid, thereby changing the buoyancy of the egg.
No, that's an inferred cause. You can't infer causation in scientific method, Brenda. You can only do it in fake science.
You're using these
You can't
words.
infer cause?
You're using these words like mass and gravity. Gravity being your presupposition, fundamentalist religious belief in a downward force, and mass being something that is equivocated in terms of its definition and its use in this context. So these aren't acceptable rhetorics.
How do you know you changed the
My bad,
density
I
of
was
the
only in the
liquid?
middle of a sentence. It's time for Globehead mute time. So even though these are your
you weren't
accepted rhetorics, yeah, I am. I'm getting to the point. Yeah, that's obviously the point that you need to mute me. Even though you accept these rhetorics, they are simple equivocations in the terms that they use and presuppositions of forces that are not proven scientifically. Bad news for a fundy. That's you.
Brenda, ask me a question that you were about to ask. How do I know that I did what?
How do you know you changed the density of the liquid?
Because I physically put some salt in the water. I physically did that, and I measured a relative number that means nothing other than it's relative to the number that I measured before I put the salt in, and I got a differential between the two numbers. So not only did I physically add the salt to prove that I was changing the density, I measured a relative density change. I know you guys don't like the parts per million meter, but that was measuring a relative change in the density. But I did it myself. I put the salt in. I emphasized it in the video.
Parts per million meter doesn't measure density.
So why did the number go up then?
I don't know. As according to your own admission, it has nothing to do with what
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Hold on. Regardless of what was measured, are you saying that an increase of salt, the salt solution, once you add more salt, are you saying that the solution is not more dense?
I don't know that he increased the amount of salt in the solution. Maybe it just fell to the bottom of the jar.
Maybe.
So we do it, Brenda.
But
You don't know that because you can't measure.
Brenda, he literally poured the salt
Brenda.
into the bottle. Are you kidding?
The only thing he varied.
Yeah, it just went to the bottom. It just went to the bottom.
Yeah, even Brenda, before it even went to the bottom, it started to move the egg.
How do you know that? You don't know that.
It was recorded on video. You can watch
measure the density of the
there,
liquid.
Brenda.
Anyway.
By your own admission, you didn't measure the density of the liquid.
I did.
So you
That was
don't
not
know
my
that
admission.
you changed
Brenda,
the density of the liquid.
Brenda, by my own admission, I did measure the density change in the liquid. It was a relative density change. That's why I used that meter.
It doesn't measure density, though.
It doesn't matter what it measures. It's measuring a relative change. Doesn't matter what it's measuring. It just measured a change relative to what it was like before, and it went up. Doesn't matter what it's measuring. That's the beauty of relativity.
If the meter isn't measuring density, if it's not measuring density, you don't know that you changed the
Hold
density.
on, Brenda. It's not about how the density is measured. It's about that it's changed. That's the scientific method part.
Exactly.
The method of measurement is only a side note.
Correct.
But you don't know that you changed
And
the
regardless
density.
of
You don't
what
know
you
that
say,
because you
Brenda,
didn't measure
him
it.
pouring
Hold on.
salt into the bottle will make it more dense than it was before. So don't try your little tactics, Brenda.
But
Come
you
on.
don't know that.
We're not
You
brand
don't
new
know
here.
that you changed the density
We did,
because you
Brenda. I
didn't
proved
measure it.
You demonstrated it.
Look, we're just going to
No,
go
you
around in
didn't.
circles with her taking the arbitrary number on some measuring scale and pulling that apart. It's just a straw man.
I did measure it, Brenda. I did it.
No, you didn't. You
Oh.
measured
Yeah, I
something
did.
else
I just
that was
completely
by
defeated
your
that
own
straw man.
admission,
And why
unrelated.
did you take that bait, Anthony? I just completely took down that straw man with one sentence. Silence,
Okay.
and then you bring it back up again. I don't get it.
I'm sorry, forgive me. Do it again,
Arbitrary
take it away.
measurement. It's just an arbitrary measurement, and that's all she's attacking. The arbitrary scale. It wouldn't matter if it was measured in Wellington boots.
Which is the point I made in the video.
An arbitrary measurement isn't density. If you didn't measure the density, you don't know that you
don't know
altered
what
the
density
at
is,
all.
and you don't know what the scientific method is, or you wouldn't be trying this out.
No, adding a soluble to it would be, though. Yeah, we're all well aware that adding salt increases the density, and that's what you've got to deny. And when asked, you were like, I don't know. Oh, well.
You don't
okay.
know that.
Oh, no, okay. We don't know that adding salt to water makes it more dense. Even though...
Go ahead, Brenda. Keep denying it, Brenda. Go ahead.
If you didn't measure the density, you don't know that it changed.
Yeah, you keep hitting that straw man.
Otherwise, you're just begging the question. You're just begging the question.
Okay, adding salt's begging the question.
You're saying that the egg moved because you changed the density, but you didn't measure the density. You're just begging the question.
Right. Okay. We get to the point, right?
Hold
on. We'd get to the point, right? Literally, where we'd have 99.9% salt to 0.1% water, and you could stand on it, and she'd be like, "That doesn't mean it's more dense." Yeah. She's just a retard.
She's just a denier. She's a science denier, Nathan.
Yeah, whatever, Brenda. You keep flogging that straw man. It's obviously another winner for you. Go in peace. In our you trust.
I think Brenda needs more water because she's a bit too dense at the moment.
Let's just ask her. Let's see if my argument stacks up and she'll deny it. So we've got 99.9% salt and 0.1% water in our solution, Brenda. And I'm standing on it. It's taking my weight. Are you going to tell me that that's not more dense?
It's not a solution.
It is a solution. I just gave you the ratio. Did you not listen to the ratio? Do you want me to give you the ratio again? Do you want me to give you the ratio again?
Go ahead.
Yeah, 99.9% salt, 0.1% water. That's the ratio of our solution.
Yeah, that's not a solution.
Oh, right.
That's just salt.
So in other words, no, it's not. It's not. It's definitely a solution.
Yeah,
it's 0.1% water. I just gave you the ratio. So what you're saying is that's basically, so in this ratio, in this scale, we eventually reach the point where it just becomes a complete solid. What you're saying is, as we slide up that scale between 0 and having more and more salt in there, it becomes more and more dense. Yeah, we know you're just thick, or just using this little straw man to try and make Anthony's argument seem less powerful than it really is. Well, you're not going to win that one.
Let me approach it in a different way, Brenda. So, do you think that pure water is less dense than salt, and pure salt is more dense than water?
Let me explain.
No,
I just did that, Alwyn. Oi, don't steal mine. I just did that and humiliated her once. Come on.
Nathan.
That's what I just did.
As
okay, have at it. Go on, beat her as much as you want.
It's not even about the material or the solution. It's just about the denseness of the material. Whether you replace one material with another, or it's dissolved in one, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the focus of the experiment, which is focused on the relative density, not on the chemical connection within the material. That's not relevant to the experiment.
My question is, Brenda, did you actually watch the experiment though?
Yeah. The independent variable, right, is the density of the liquid, correct?
That's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Yes, that's
no,
correct.
No. It's the density of the medium.
Yes, that's correct. Hold on. What do you mean? Not at all. Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Brenda. No. That's absolutely right. The independent variable, otherwise known as presumed cause of an effect, was the density of the medium. That's absolutely correct, isn't it, Anthony?
Yeah, correct. The medium, not the liquid.
What was the density before and after he added the salt?
Less.
I mentioned it. I put it in the video, Brenda. I believe it was about 200 parts per million on one hand and then 300 parts per million on the other.
That's not density.
It's a relative density
That's not
Brenda.
density.
It's all right.
And you admit that in the video. You say it's not density. It isn't. It's unrelated to density.
So what changed?
So if the measurement you're making is unrelated to density
hold on.
and wiggling, you didn't wiggle it.
Hold on.
Because you don't know.
Just tell us then. What did he vary then? If it wasn't the density. What did he vary?
He can't prove that he changed the density because he didn't measure the density.
It's not my question. What did he vary then?
Nobody knows.
Yeah, we did. We watched him pour salt in.
No.
We definitely know.
Nobody
He
knows.
Hold on. He varied the density of the medium.
The trouble she has seen.
Ah.
Nobody
Darwin.
knows but Brenda.
Yeah, we do know. He definitely varied the density. We just went through this, right? It's on a sliding scale right up to the point where there's almost no water and you could stand on it. It's so dense.
Brenda,
So
what do you
he
think that
didn't
adding
wiggle
salt
it
does?
because he didn't measure. He didn't measure the density before and after. He didn't measure that. He used a different measurement.
Yeah, but he didn't need to.
Brenda,
He
was
just-
the
hold on.
water more dense after he added the salt?
Hold on. He didn't need to, right? We have just gone through this, albeit hypothetically, with us taking the solution down to virtually no water and it being ultra, ultra, ultra dense, like you. So we've explained this. The quantification is irrelevant.
Yeah.
That's what science is based on quantification.
Nah, it's based on manipulation of a cause that you presume makes an effect that you observe in nature. That's what science is interested in, not the quantification, not the scale. It doesn't matter if you give your result in inches or centimetres. The quantification of your scale is irrelevant.
Yeah, I agree. Brenda, do you know what it's not based on? It's not based on inferred logic or inferred reason. It's based on the cause.
Right.
You don't know that you varied the cause.
Yeah, we do. We watched him. We watched him vary it. Yeah. And we know that what he changed was the density of the liquid. We do know that. We know we watched him do it. So we definitely know that.
Brenda, are you trying to Jedi mind trick us right now? Like,
Yeah.
what's your angle here?
He did not add salt to the mixture. That is not changing the density. You don't know what density is. Nuh-uh. 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 Nuh-uh.
That's correct.
Brenda,
you don't know.
She's doing the Jedi trick. Let her try.
You don't know because you didn't measure it.
The quantification. Hold on, let me just reply to her.
Guys, she makes a compelling point.
No. Let
Measure
me answer her. The quantification, the measurement is irrelevant. The mathematics don't matter. How big a variant doesn't matter either. The variation and what is varied is your presumed cause in a scientific experiment. That's what matters, not the mathematics that you... Yeah, I know I'm correct. Not the mathematics that you quantify it with thereafter. Well, I'm going to call this scale zigonauts. So Anthony varied it by 6 zigonauts. Well, your scale doesn't make sense. Oh, yeah, that doesn't make any difference. Because it's time, isn't it? It's time for the globe head mute button, isn't it, Brenda? Yeah, it doesn't matter if he qualifies it with the scale of zigonauts or a scale of parts per million of whatever unicorns he's got on his number scale. That's the mathematic quantification of the scale that changed, but it's not the scale that matters. It's what he actually varied, the density in this instance.
You don't know that he varied it,
Globehead mute button, right the conclusion. Right the conclusion.
Measure.
Time for Globehead mute button. In this case, the density of the medium was what was changed. We do know,
You don't know that.
and that's
Prove
how it's
it.
Globehead
Yeah,
mute
prove
button
it.
again. It's the
Shut up,
conclusion.
Brenda.
Arwen's going to do it too. That's what
Prove
they
it.
do. The
Prove
Globeheads
it.
like to
Prove
trigger
that you
Arwen
changed
into
it.
also rumpusing me. So the conclusion never gets heard because Globehead mute button, right, Brenda? I'll say it. I'll try and say it a third time. What he varied is his presumed cause. The scale that he varied it at doesn't matter. All that matters is what was actually varied and manipulated. The presumed cause of the effect. Now, it doesn't matter if he varies it a little bit or a lot, or what scale that you measure that variation at. All that matters is what he varied, and that's his presumed cause. In this case, the density of the medium. Sod all to do with gravity. That's just your fundamentalist religious belief that you tried to insert into this conversation earlier when you used M and G. Anthony, on the other hand, didn't have to qualify it with any little letters or numbers. He just varied that which he presumed caused an effect. And he caused it. That was what was proven.
Brenda, can I ask you a question?
You can't prove that he varied the density because you can't tell what the density was before and after.
He did vary the density. We watched him when he poured salt in. Your Jedi mind trick does not work. You are a weak warrior of the Force.
Yeah, these are not the droids you're looking for, Brenda.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Brenda,
These are not the arguments you're looking for.
Brenda, if you're saying that I can't prove what I varied in the test, why do you dismiss the fact that I physically poured salt in as my cause?
So what? How does that prove anything? You can't tell me what the density was before and after the experiment.
She's never going to release this red herring.
Well, we could tell you it was more dense, right, Brenda?
Anthony,
wait.
I don't know.
No,
what,
you don't
hold
know
on,
that.
hold on.
Do
No
you
rumbling,
understand
please.
the difference
Everyone
between more
quiet.
and less?
Brenda and Anthony. Right. She's just going to keep using the same straw man over and over again. She won't let go of scale and maths. That's all she's got, and she's just going to say it 5 more times, Anthony.
No, but I can get to a point if I can get some conversation. Just let me speak to Brenda for a minute, guys. Brenda, if I physically pour more matter into the solution, if it's not changing the density by virtue of putting more mass into the volume, can you tell me what it is doing? Because that would be a whole branch of new science.
That's just begging the question. You don't know. You don't know that it changed the density of the water at all.
So what
unless
does it
you
do
can
when I
measure
pour
the density, unless you have a way of measuring the density of the water,
Told you.
you
Yeah, I
don't
do.
know
Brenda,
that the action you performed changed
Brenda.
the density at all, unless
Told
you
you.
can measure it.
All she's going to do is
Brenda.
all she's going to do is appeal to the mathematical scale. It's the only straw man she's got.
I know, I understand, but bear with me, I've got it. Brenda, if I physically pour more mass into the volume, given that the equation for density is mass over volume, and I'm putting more mass into it, can you tell me what branch of physics that would be if it's not changing the density? I'd like to know.
I'm just going by the logic of your experiment, and you can't show me that you varied the independent variable.
Okay.
Sorry,
That
your
is what it
cognitive
showed.
dissonance is really in your
All right, stop.
part here. This is
Please,
ridiculous.
please, let me finish with Brenda. Okay, so if you don't accept that the parts per million relative counter changed, right? I'll accept that you don't accept it. But if you're going to
No,
dismiss
I
it,
accept that it changed,
Brenda,
Anthony. I accept that changed.
Yeah, I understand that. And I understand that you don't accept that that's measuring the density, right? Even though it's a relative density change. Brenda,
It doesn't measure
listen,
that
Brenda, listen,
instrument
shush,
doesn't
shush.
measure density.
Well, what we need at the moment,
doesn't.
Anthony, is her to assert her claim 16 times over the top of your point. Your rebuttal can't be heard because she needs to say the same thing 5 more times like we didn't hear it. It's her mute button, you see. She needs to use the same claim over and over again. Can you shut
Brenda,
up?
what is it I'm doing if I'm pouring more mass into the volume if it's not density that's being changed? You need to tell me, because if you dismiss what you say I'm not doing because I can't prove it, then I want you to tell me what I am doing, because I am doing something. So I want to know what that is, please.
You're pouring more material into the glass, right?
Right,
But
mass
you're
over
not.
volume, right?
You can't show that by doing so you change the density of the water, because you
Yes,
don't.
you
What
can.
was
That
what was the
Brenda, that would
density of
be a
the water?
legit-
What was the
Brenda.
density of the water at the beginning
Brenda.
and the end of the experiment? What was
Why
the
does-
Brenda,
density?
listen.
I don't know what density is, Brenda.
Wait. That would be a legitimate
clearly
claim, Brenda.
no, because if he's adding more material into the water, if he's adding more material, which is what increasing the
Wait
density
a
of
sec.
something is, then he is
Yeah,
varying the density. I don't understand why you keep. Yeah, I don't get it.
She just keeps on appealing to the scale that he's measuring because it's a straw man argument. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hang on, let me respond, please. Brenda, your point that I can't prove that I'm changing the density would be a legitimate point if you didn't see me pour more mass into the volume, but you did see me pour more mass into the volume. So if you don't think that I changed the density, please don't refer to maths. Tell me what branch of science that I am contributing to, because if it's not density, you must have a new definition.
No, it's possible that the water was already saturated and the salt that you poured in just went to the bottom.
But it's still
Oh,
changes-
really?
it still
Okay, that was
changes
just
the
gross.
density of the solution, doesn't it?
I think we would have seen that, Brenda.
It still changes the density.
Yeah, I
though,
could
doesn't
see it at the bottom. There was salt at the bottom of the glass.
Sure, but it still doesn't. It still changes the mass per volume, doesn't it, Brenda?
You didn't measure that. You didn't
I did.
measure
Well,
the
it
density.
doesn't matter, Brenda. It doesn't matter about the measurement. Listen to my question and answer my question. Don't answer a question I didn't ask. Answer the one I'm asking. What is it that I do if I pour more mass into the volume if it isn't density? Don't mention maths. What is it I'm doing?
If it's already saturated, it just goes to the bottom of the jar.
Right. So it's changing the mass of the volume, is it not?
It's not changing the liquid. It just goes to the bottom.
Is it changing the mass in the volume or not?
No, it might not.
Well,
And you can't say that because you didn't measure it.
Brenda, if I pour more mass in and it's not changing the density, you need to tell me what it is doing, because you can't reject that. You see me pour it in. You need to tell me what that's doing if it's not changing the density.
I saw you pour it in, but I don't know that it went into the liquid. I think it went right to the bottom. Prove it. Prove me wrong.
I did. I measured it.
You didn't measure density.
Even if it went to the bottom, Brenda, wasn't that in the same bottle?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be in the same
mass?
No, it's not in the liquid. It's at the bottom of the jar.
Herself a little corner conspiracy idiot idea.
Hold on.
She's never gonna let go.
I want to summarize what she's claiming. What she's claiming is the water was so heavily saturated with salt to begin with that when more was added, it was already at its maximum capacity for retention of salt in the liquid. That's what she's claiming. Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that when I poured the salt in, it doesn't change the fact that when I pour the salt in, before it even touches the floor, it starts moving the mass.
I don't even know that that was salt. It could have been anything.
It's just nonsense.
You didn't measure
the thing is, Brenda,
the density of the water, and therefore you can't know what it was you did at all.
Okay,
it might have
we do know what he did. I've said this 5 times. We watched him do it. Now, it's the only thing he did, independent variable, yeah, and it caused the effect. Now you're saying, no, there must be something else at play. Well, if that's the only thing that was varied, then it's the only thing that was varied and it still caused the effect. But you're saying, no, there is a scenario where the maximum saturation of the water could already be reached, you could pour more salt in and it wouldn't change the density. But we wouldn't get an effect then, would we? Of course, it's mute button when I get to the conclusion.
No, I thought you were
I'll do it again. I'll try again without the mute button from Brenda.
Oh, stop being such a child.
We still saw the effect. The only thing he varied was the amount of salt that he added. So there was one thing changed and the effect was caused. Now, the only scenario you can come up with is a scenario that wouldn't produce an effect. So given that we did see an effect, it wasn't kept in exactly the same position regardless of him adding more salt because it was at maximum capacity for retaining salt. No, Brenda, we did definitely see an effect, and the only thing that was varied was the density. Simple.
You don't know that you changed the density because you never measured the density.
Yeah, it's a straw man. Hold on, Anthony. It's back to the original assertion. We're just going to get the same straw man ad nausea. So the continual assertion is that it's an appeal to the measurement, the scale, how much of a change, and whether or not you've got that when it's irrelevant. The variation is the density. That's what he varied. Now, your appeal to the mathematical scale that's been measured isn't going to win you this argument. It's a straw man. It seems like it's appealing to the argument, but in reality it's a subsection that's not relevant to the science. In fact, if he hadn't measured it at all, it would still be the exact same outcome without any measurement being done. So your little straw man is a complete and total failure. And with that, I'm going to say, unless Anthony, you want more last word? No, I'm all right. Jolly good. With that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who tuned in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive, huge thank you to all of today's debating panel. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!